how long did it take you to land the job you're at now from beginning to
Um,
end?
4 months.
4 months.
I
And maybe,
Well, actually,
yeah,
the job search process, I think it was 2.5 months,
okay.
if I remember correctly. 2.5 to 4 months, somewhere around
Okay, yeah. And
there.
maybe let's back up and share if you do feel comfortable sharing like kind of
Oh
like
yeah,
what
let's talk
happened.
it.
Okay. Yeah.
Let's do it.
So let's share what happened. So you start applying for work, you know, I remember you start doing some mock interviews. It's the first time you're interviewing for like a tech job. Walk us
Yeah,
through
yeah.
kind of like what happens next. Because I think it's a really important story to share and there's a lot of lessons there.
Yeah, so and some context to it all. Like I said, I'm the artsy fartsy guy up to this point. So I've never had to like build a resume and like have a portfolio. It's really like, do you need a stage manager? I know a guy, and it was him. It was me,
Yeah.
And so I felt really vulnerable, like interviewing with people, like having to actually sit down and profess who I am and like tell them all my ins and outs of how I'm a designer and you really want to hire me and stuff. That was really hard to like sell myself in that way. And so I was never really much of a performer either. I was always behind, directors,
Right.
playwright and stuff. So for me to like have to like record myself and like understand and see myself vulnerably that way really
Yeah.
was hard to do. And I think that that's something that just everyone should acknowledge across the board, that it's not easy. It's not something that you just inherently know how to do. And so it's another part of the learning curve of the learning process of all of this. And so I started applying for jobs. I hit the ground running. I would try to hit 40 like every other day, if not every day, if I could. And,
Yeah.
was constantly applying for jobs because it was my full-time job to apply for jobs. And so by that point, I had left the theater. I was just looking for work, and my wife was supporting us. And I got into second and third round interviews with a couple of companies, and I was really excited to actually like be breaking past that first round and getting into the second and third round interviews. And I got a verbal offer from a company, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is happening. Like, I called my mom, I cried to my wife, like I had like the big congratulations from everybody in the channel and everything. The lady said, we're just working on the paperwork, should have stuff to you by Friday. She gives me a call the next day. We're talking numbers, but I was like, just send me the contract or whatever, and we'll talk about it then. And just never comes. And I reach out to her, and like a few days later, and she's just like, oh, we're still working on things. It'll, just need a few more days. And then it never comes. And then another week goes by, and another week. And before you know it, it's like a month. And I'm like, I've like stopped looking for work. I had a verbal, like you told me it was going to be there by Friday,
It
like
was
it was going to be
celebrated.
great.
Yeah. It was
Yeah.
done.
It's like
Yeah.
the champagne has been popped, so anyway, it was